off the rip. You know we ain't gon' split. We the first to do it.
Hi, I'm Mariah.
Hi, I'm Grace.
What's up? I'm Thor.
AJ.
Hi, I'm Gabo. Marcella.
I'm Jaimin.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Daniel.
Meek.
And we got Titus, who's on Zoom.
What up, my fool? I'm Zoom the same.
Welcome to Sis N Lil Broments. Y'all are a very special group of people because my brother and I, this is our very first episode. We wanted to start a new podcast series where we invite other young people like ourselves to have meaningful conversations with each other, whether we're friends, colleagues, if we strangers, like we all have stories that we can contribute to each other to be open and honest. First, to shake off like the nerves and stuff, we're gonna do a little icebreaker game, okay?
I wasn't alive when I was born.
Okay, what?
My sister is 54, and I do have a child on the way.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How old are you?
23.
No, the lie is the first one. You weren't
Wait, what was
alive
the
when
first
you were born.
No.
It happens, but I feel like he said that too fast.
I think you got one on the way. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't have a kid on the way.
What do we all agree is his lie?
I think it
Is it true?
That is the lie.
Okay, cool. Anybody else got two truths and a lie? I'll go.
Yeah, you got it.
I've never been to the Philippines. I'm Hispanic.
I'm like a Philippine.
No, listen.
She couldn't even get through it.
The big question that I want everybody to think about as we're discussing this is what has 2022 taught you personally? And in this year, how do you want to grow? That's not something that we're going to answer right now this second, but everything that we talk about is going to formulate to answer that question for you, you know. The first topic is new year, new me. What do y'all think about that whole mindset? Like, you know how people just be like, you know, it's a new year, it's a new me. Like, do you have that mindset yourself every new year that comes up? Is it something that you get annoyed by? Do you believe in the whole new year, new me thing? Where y'all at with that?
So I'll start. I don't necessarily like New Year, New Me. I think like when you want to do something for the upcoming year, you usually start it that month of December or like November. You're starting the habits of whatever you want to do for that upcoming year. So for me, my standard is waking up at 3 a.m. Well, I started waking up at 3 a.m. like maybe 3-4 weeks before the new year came around. Therefore, like when the new year actually came, I'm already doing it rather than like starting it. I don't really like New Year, New Me. I just like, if you're gonna do something, just start it now.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think the season has something to do with it?
It depends on where I'm at in that time. In the past, I've never done New Year, New Me, but this year was a little different because of the simple fact that it was a new chapter for me. Like, I graduated, I have a new home, like a new job.
It sounds like you don't run your clock based on when the new year calendar starts. You run it just based off of how your life is flowing. It just happened to fall when the new year is transitioning.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with that in the sense of like growth should be happening at any point in the year, but there is something refreshing about like there's only one first of the year, you know, and so you have like a new opportunity to like start something again. Granted, some people don't really make that last, but it's the effort that counts sometimes.
That's the issue with it. Like, I think it's more like people kind of view New Year, New Me as like almost another way to like fit in society. It's like another thing to talk about, right?
Following a trend.
Exactly. It's like a trend. Every start of the year, people, that's all that they're chatting about, you know, oh, New Year, New Me, what are you doing this year? Like, you might hold it for a few weeks, a month, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Most usually drop out the second month or after.
Like, you don't like the idea of hopping on the trend?
That's what it is. I think it's just like it's a trend-based phrase.
So are you knocking people for doing the whole New Year?
No. I'm not knocking anybody. The whole point of that is to like stick to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like instead of like talking about it, why not just do it?
Right.
You know?
I want to play devil's advocate because I was gonna come in here and I was gonna be just like you guys, be like, I don't do New Year, New Me, and I don't do New Year, New Me because I think as humans, like every day, there's some evolution of yourself. I think what New Year, New Me gives some people is the little bit of hope that maybe some of us don't need in our lives, but that person that had a hellacious 2022, they want that clock to strike and hit zero and feel like, oh, I have a chance to reset myself, to ground myself. I need to hit rock bottom and start stepping again from there. So I think there is a benefit to New Year, New Me for some people. I think for younger generations, with what goes on in our lives and how like rapidly changing it is, especially when you're in your 20s, there's something new coming all the time for us. For a 30-year-old with 4 kids, you need the reset. You need the winter break from school, you need the time off from work, and you need the couple days to be like, nothing else exists except for family and whatever's going on. So that's why I think it's even appropriate that the holiday time rolls around right before New Year's, because it is the time to take a couple deep breaths and think about what you want to do in the next year.
You know how in dodgeball or when you're doing freeze tag or something like that, there's always these safety zones. And for me, I'm a person, I don't do well with change, so I like to stay in my safety zone. That's me at the end of the year. Like that, I can't leave here. My personal life, I've lost a lot of people from 2020 till now. I've gone to funerals every year. You know, I don't want to move on because I feel like this is the last year that I have making memories with that person. And once I move on from this year, that's it. You know, that's where they stop. That's where their path stops. So for me, I'm like, I love New Year, New Me because I know that I will grow. I know I have to grow. I know I have to move from the place that I've been in. I know I have to move on from the ways that I've been operating. And a new year allows me new opportunities to change the ways that I function.
How do you feel about the whole New Year, New Me vibe?
I understand it for a lot of people. I respect it. I'm not one to really practice it necessarily. Like, I don't just use January 1st as, I'm gonna forget about everything that happened in 2022 or put it behind me and have a fresh start, this and that. But I do use it in the sense that, like, it's just a reminder that every day is a new day and just staying open-minded and being optimistic about what could happen. I think when we get into our everyday lives, we oftentimes forget that things could change in a matter of an instant. But sometimes when we get to that new year, that new month or something that like is a really resetting period, I think we're often reminded that, hey, this might be a totally different year than last year. But really, that could happen any day. That could happen from Tuesday to Wednesday.
For me personally, like, depending on how stressed I am in my life, I see every day as a fresh start.
A couple people said something about trends and like following the societal norms. I think we've gotten so far away from being okay with things that are normal and following certain things that are good to follow. I'm assuming most of the people in this room have some type of religious context to their life where you follow something that is the norm for you. And that's a good thing to follow. It gives you purpose, it gives you reason. It's part of the reason you wake up every day. So I think there shouldn't be any shame in following something that can be good and beneficial to your life. So if it's New Year, New Me for you, New Year, New Me every single year as hard as you can. But it's just like, I think we don't always have to be so different, because I think that's what everybody always tells us. You're different, you're different, you're different. It's like, yeah, we are different. We're individuals, but we're so much alike. We think alike even when we don't think we're thinking alike, and we act alike when we don't think we're acting alike. It's okay to be like the people around you if you think they're good people and they're doing good things.
I was hearing everybody, and I just want to acknowledge like all of your beliefs and everything. This is my point of view, and this is the way that I see things. I kind of think like New Year's is a lie.
What you mean?
It's a lie, dude. Because I mean, you wait
until that new year starts to make a change. When you can make the change right there and then, and it's difficult, but if you really want to change, or if you want to take your life to the next level, I think that it starts with, one, the mindset, and two, actually following through with your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue that I guess I have with New Year, New Me, is the fact that, like, okay, I understand that people want to have new habits and like do new things, right? But you also have to be realistic with yourself.
Right.
And like, you being a completely new person, it doesn't have to be in that first 2-3 months of the year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But what you can do is like set yourself up so by the end of that year, you're exactly what you want it to be. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why people drop off too,
Yeah.
is because there's so much pressure and like you have to build yourself to get a new habit.
Growth is like something that like we should like always continuously like strive for,
Yeah.
regardless of like the year. And so like something like that helps me a lot like continue with my like New Year goals is just like having little mini checkpoints that I like check throughout the year, just to see if I did them or not.
That brings us to our next point. We can't talk about new beginnings unless we understand that there was an old. What is your new beginning? Like personally for you, what does a new beginning even mean to you? I don't gotta mean that you gotta start over and be some new person. It could just be some characteristic that you're trying to build in your personal life.
I guess the second question I would ask with that is, how often do you have one?
I will go off to just be the first one to put myself out there, but for me, my new beginning is establishing self-discipline and consistency. Self-discipline and consistency are both of my most worst characteristics. They're very poor. I have great talent. I'm very blessed. I have individuals around me who are very disciplined, but I have not mastered those two qualities in my life since I was in high school. I've allowed it to become so severe that it hurts my self-perception and it hurts my confidence. I struggle a lot with self-confidence, but it's because I lack self-discipline and I lack consistency, and it shows to people who don't know me. That my new beginning is working on that.
If I had to say my new beginning, it's the same one that happens every single day, every single year for me, and it always involves patience for some reason in my life. I've got that struggle story background, get it out the mud, figure it out, you accomplish all these great goals, and I think as I've gotten older and as I've garnered success in whatever way it came to me, I never had the patience and the wherewithal to be in the spot that I'm in, to appreciate where I'm at. I've always had to look for the next goal because everything was so goal oriented. And so I think part of mine is the fact that I have none, and that I allow for things to come to me and have the patience for it to come to me when it's supposed to.
I have a question for you. So you're not patient with yourself. Are you also not patient with other people?
Not patient with other people. Not patient with myself, not patient. I'm not patient with my mother, my grandmother. It doesn't matter who it is.
My new beginning is pretty much learning from my old beginning, you know, and continuing that whole beginning. I think one of the relevant things in my life right now is still understanding how to love others, but truly loving myself. I still struggle of like, dang, how do I like intentionally love and continue to love each and everyone I walk by. I always felt like I had to be the perfect kid in my family. All the pressure was arised on me because my older brothers, they didn't meet my parents' expectation. And so my parents threw that on top of me, and so I always had to continue to pursue what they wanted, which was a college education. Because of my parents' like harsh kind of like, you need to do things in order to be like perfect, this perfect child, or in a sense their dream. I didn't really learn how to love myself. I just learned to love others, and that's what I do. That's why for me it's more natural to like, I will give you my time. I will drop all things I have, homework, gaming, anything to come and help you. But then there's times where I'm just like, dang, I don't even understand how to love myself.
Is that a feeling from like your parents? Did you feel like you weren't loved the way you wanted to be loved? Did you not get the attention in the ways you wanted? Is
No.
that a reflection of that, or is that a...
No, my parents, they love me. They absolutely love me. They provided everything I needed. I think it just comes from Asian household of like hard love. They don't show it, but then they do show it through different actions. But you don't really understand that until you like kind of mature and realize, oh, that's how they love me.
I also want to kind of answer your question in a different way. For me, I had to learn not only like the value of self-love, but the value of time as well. Because I didn't think that time could be self-deserving. It always had to be given. Prioritizing that's the new me that I want to learn. I want to learn how to prioritize myself. Like, yes, in my schedule right now, there's nothing happening and I could do that. However, I also have been going for the last 4 days without a break. And so now it's gone from thinking of Sundays as like, you know, a metaphor for a Sabbath to placing Sabbaths throughout my entire week.
Thank you for sharing, and sharing both of your experiences. Like when I said earlier, we're more alike than different. The reason I asked the question I asked them is because I know in my childhood, my mom showed up to maybe 2 track meets. I ran track from the time I was in 7th grade. Ran in college. My mom has been to 2 of my track meets. I would ask the same question you'd ask, like, everybody else's parents are here, is this what love is? And so those ideas that you created, or those barriers you created for yourself that you had to overcome, we share a lot of similar ones. He can tell you that's one of my best friends. If he calls me, I'm picking up. I'm the person that gives everything. If I'm the guy that reaches out to the friend group, I'm gonna organize, like I'm the love pour out person. And it took me so long to realize like my cup has to overflow, not empty out for everybody else. Because when it empties, I'm not the guy you want to be.
I just feel the same, like what that's me. I feel like I'm always like pouring in until like for like the New Year thing. I definitely want to take more time to myself, and like it can get so taxing when you're doing so many things for other people, but you don't take the time to like take care and pour love into yourself.
See, this is why we need to have conversation, is because a lot of us in this room would say that our new beginning is loving ourselves more. Is there anybody that has a different new beginning?
Yeah, I actually would say differently, because growing up, it was always, okay, cool. You always want to be there to help people. You always want to be there to like be there for people. But if you can't help yourself, how can you help other people? Because if I didn't help me, then I can't help my mom. I can't help my friend. I can't help my furry baby. Like I can't help the immediate problems or obstacles that are in my face if I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I understand the aspect of like being there for other people, but I had to learn how to like stop doing that, because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't care what you're going through. Like a lot of the things that you go through, you have to go through by yourself. Personally, like for example, like the other day, my sibling called me and pretty much cussed me out because my mom, she has Alzheimer's, and this week I screwed up. I'm her PCA and I screwed up and I didn't go check on her like I was supposed to. So he called and cussed me out, woo. And my mom, when I went to go check on my mom, I almost cried, but like she could tell, but she couldn't tell. But she was asking, and like I almost told her, but I was like, no, let me not tell you, because at the end of the day, like you can't do nothing for me. Like I have to pour this energy into myself so that I can come back and be able to do what I need to do to help you. So for me, my new beginning would be like, it would be setting a standard and no excuses, because I don't think I have a discipline problem. I think I have an excuse problem. I think I have a problem of like having these excuses and not realizing it, or like not setting a standard for myself and not giving myself a way out. So like if I say I'm waking up at 3 a.m., I'm waking up at 3 a.m. I don't care if I went to sleep at midnight. I'm waking up at 3 a.m. because that's the standard I set for myself. Or if I know I have to have this assignment done for work, all right, my standard is that I'm gonna do this before I go out this weekend, or I'm gonna do this before I do any type of extracurricular activity, and keep to that, instead of like, oh, I'm not disciplined. Oh, I am disciplined. I go to the gym, so I have discipline. I have areas in my life where I'm very disciplined, but it's really taking that discipline and transferring it to other aspects of my life that I might call, where I might be in my own way. My new beginning is getting out my own way.
I think it's really interesting how like we can have similar backgrounds in a way. Like, for example, I can relate to you two for sure, and obviously you as well, just based on the way I was brought up in an African household. My parents were, like, you ask yourself sometimes, like, do they love me, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, because they don't, it's tough to, like, for them to just show it blatantly. Like, the way you two kind of handle that situation and how you're, like, bettering yourselves is also different from the way I'm bettering myself. And it's kind of not necessarily being selfish, but again, putting myself first. So if somebody comes along or there's a situation that isn't aligned with me, that's cool. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and stress over it. It is what it is. And that doesn't mean like you gotta hate somebody or something like that, but sometimes you just gotta take things for what they are.
So I think in general, what everyone's saying, and I can say something for myself, it's just growing in boundaries.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what has to be developed in your young 20s. Well, it's all throughout your whole life, but like there's something about your 20s that sort of like solidifies where like the next decades are going. Yeah. And if it's not like exemplified well for you, you're gonna struggle to figure out how to preserve for yourself without like giving too much to other people. I'm actually going through this book right now called Boundaries by Henry Cloud, and if y'all are interested, you should definitely check it out. It's really like faith-based too, which is super helpful because then you learn like people think like, oh, like God loved everyone, so we have to just like, you know, like drain ourselves, but that's not how God is. God had boundaries too. Jesus had boundaries too, you know. Okay. And so I'm just saying, check it out. But I would also say for myself, like apart from creating boundaries, like just like learning to make decisions where I don't feel like shame about my decisions, or I'm not just like recklessly making decisions. I think sometimes for myself, I can make decisions and not fully think through them or just do it because it feels right in the moment, and then later be like, oh, like I regret that. So I guess just like moving forward, like actually being intentional and purposeful about the decisions and choices I'm making, so I don't have to feel like shame about them. Where I'm like, when I did that, that was me. Instead of doing something, looking back and like, oh, like that really wasn't me. And then I think the other thing is for my career, I'm taking a long time to sort of solidify some things. I finally just came up with a logo for my massage. Thank you.
Yeah, that deserves a round of applause.
You know?
After I graduated undergrad, I had a lot of new me's, I feel like, or just a lot of experiences that happened in my life that shaped me and brought me to the person I am, like, in this moment. What I've really been learning is how do I walk in my relationship with Christ, but also support those in my life that have different values and beliefs than I do. Because at the end of the day, like, Jesus taught us to love others and to care for them and to not get tripped up by, you know, whether we have different political views or if we come from different family backgrounds or have different cultural values. I think there's beauty in differences and learning about those things together. It's definitely been very hard, not gonna lie. I'm not saying it's easy, but you know, because there was times when I wanted to throw my faith out the window and just live in the world. But I've found that I've come back to Christ every time, no matter how hard the circumstance was in my life. And if there was loss that came with that, then there was loss. But Jesus has prevailed, so.
I can relate to a lot of people right here. Like, you know, I can see myself in each and every one of you, and it just makes me feel like I am not alone. I guess that ever since I grew up, I would say it's like a people pleaser, I would say. But you know, it kind of got back to me in a way. You know, I poured so much into a lot of people that when I needed help, I felt like nobody was there for me. And I was like, damn, who am I surrounding myself with? You know, like who are the people? What's going on with me, you know? In conclusion, I'm just working on my relationship with people and just picking and choosing people that have similar values and experiences as I have.
Say that your new beginning is finding the right people to keep in your life.
Yeah, believe it or not, I have been eliminating people. Or
Turn them off.
You know, eliminate.
You are done. Eliminate.
Not notice. You got like white out.
It's because
I'm not that type of person, man. Like, I don't like to exclude people. I don't like to get rid of people in my life. I am not that type of person.
But sometimes
But that's the thing, man. Like what is their purpose? You know, like they're telling me wrong. Why do I keep letting them in my life when you know that's not healthy for me? So I have slowly just cut some people, and I want to make sure that I'm going to be surrounding myself with good people, you know.
Encouraged by the rest of society to go after your biggest dreams. You know, you picture yourself in grade school, and teachers are encouraging students like, if you want to be an astronaut, like be an astronaut. Like you can do anything in the world. They, you know what I'm saying? They give them all that praise. Like you go do this if you want to change and do this. The younger that you are, the more free you feel and the more validated you feel by other people to change into whoever you want to be and to reach whatever heights you want to reach. But we're in our 20s, and I don't know about you guys, but I do feel like the older that we get, you have sort of a shorter window to change careers or to do something that is unprecedented. Have you guys felt that pressure before? And what do you think about it?
I think some of the practical things of that are valid, but like if your identity is rooted in God, like you can change and grow at any point in your life, and there's no pressure to be somebody that like society's telling you to be. So if you don't become successful in your career until like 10 years later than you thought, like at least you got there, you know, and like maybe in the beginning you didn't have the maturity, the experience, or the resources you needed, but now you do, you know. And so I feel like it's just a part of like setting your mind free and separating from those pressures.
I think the whole point of like the pressures, where they stem from, is mainly just comparison.
That's a good
like
point.
There's a general age that most people graduate from.
Go against societal norms and go with what you think is best for your future, because it's your future.
So as we're like thinking about change and self-improvement, and we are setting these goals and thinking of our dreams and working towards them, I'm hearing that we have to forget or minimize comparison when we're working on ourselves. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to feel opposition and pressure when we are setting our goals and our dreams and doing what we want to do. You can eliminate the comparison, but you can't eliminate how other people react to what you're trying to do with your life. So the question is, how do you deal with people who are in opposition to what you're trying to do with your life?
Look at where you were and look at where you are now. Don't necessarily look at what they're saying. And also, there's a big saying of like, if you're trying to get rich, don't listen to somebody that don't got no money in their bank account. So whatever you're trying to do with your life, if you're trying to be the next, I don't know, best actor, why are you listening to somebody that flips burgers? Your dreams are your dreams. It's not their dreams. So how they feel about them shouldn't mean anything. Even though we're human. So that's not to say that we don't have emotions. And I think that's where we have to learn how to know when to use logic or when to use emotions. And when these situations come up, when we have people that are hating, we have to use logic over emotion, because our emotions is saying it's either one or two things. It's like, I want to like pretty much fight you, or I want to cry because you just hurt my feelings. We just have to learn how to be able to like, nah, what are you doing with yourself? What am I doing right now? Where was I at yesterday? At least I did this today. Where am I going to be at in like 10 years? It's all about that compound effect. And again, going back to your goal is being consistent. It's just like, okay, just be consistent with what you're doing. And if you're going to fail at it, at least fail hard to know, okay, this wasn't for me, but at least I gave it my all. So no one can sit up here and tell me that I never tried or never gave it my all. Because there are some people that are going to be talking and speaking on things that you want to do or would like to do and haven't made any actions in their own life for the things that they wanted to do.
That's where you gotta learn to think for yourself.
Exactly.
Like I would say, like, even bro, there could be people in your family, right, who are like, oh no, you shouldn't do that, you can't do that, why would you do that, that's not benefiting us, X, Y, and Z. And it's like, it's the similar point to what you were just saying. It's like they've never taken the risk to go to that place, and so they can't even see them. They can't see themselves doing that, so they can't even see you doing that. And like that's what you gotta learn to think for yourself and know your purpose. Like if you know that you're supposed to be doing something and you're called to do something and that's your desire and your will and it's good, like you just have to have the confidence to go for it and then connect with people who will support you in that.
Yeah, I just want to jump in right here and say this because I think it's super important that we understand this as well, that you don't have to fight things by yourself. You don't have to achieve things by yourself. Nobody said that it had to be a solo journey, ever. And so for me too, like when I have people that have like, I work with a lot of kids with low income, a lot of kids that have nothing. These kids know where they are, you know? I think that it's not a negative thing to let them dream and stuff like that, but I think there's a difference between being a dreamer and then having your dream keepers. I'm a dream keeper in my friend group. You tell me you want to do this, great, okay. You can do it on your own time frame, that's fine. But every now and then I'm gonna go, hey, do you remember this? Or hey, how are you doing? Or hey, you okay today because you said you wanted to do this? Are you picking a new path? That's great. I'm all for it. I'm all for the new path. I just want to know where you're at, so you know where you're at, you know? I'm the type of person where I'm like, you tell me something, like I want to help you keep it. I want to help you safeguard that. One of my mentors this year, he did a whole like discussion on Muhammad Ali and his corner. Who's in your corner? Who's your support system? If you don't have a good family, if you don't have a good support system, great. Like, how do you want to build that? How do you want to build the people that are backing you up? You know that you can go out and create family yourself. If you don't have a good family, go make your family. Who do you want your family to be in your corner? That's how you stop the naysayers, because those won't stop. You're going to have people saying negative things about you your entire life. You know, so who are going to be the people that safeguard that, and that when you have a moment where you're in doubt or where you're spiraling or where you don't believe that you possess the skills to do it, who's going to be like, no, you got it. No, you got it, because I believe that you have it. And I need friends like that. I want people who are going to tell me what I need to hear, not what I like to hear. And that's what I'm putting in my corner. I'm not going to put people that are just going to let me sit in my, oh, new year, new me. They're going to be like, no, okay, well, what have you done, though? It's been a month. Okay, it's almost February, you know?
There were so many, like, phenomenal points shared just now, and I appreciate literally every word that was just said. Something that I thought about, it was my background for a long time. It's still one of my 4 options for a background, but it says bad days build better days, which was always something for myself in my personal life. I was just like, it always feels like everything's collapsing. I'll get these great opportunities, be in these great positions, and then the things that I thought were solid in my life will crumble, and I am picking myself up. And so I really had to adopt the attitude of bad days build better days and stacking days. So someone talked about with New Year, New Me, but I think about every day as stacking another day of whatever I just built upon. So every day I'm building on myself in every area possible and challenging myself. And it goes to what you were saying with keeping the right people around you. Can't refer to it. It's one of my best friends. When we met, if you met the two of us, we're polar opposites, but we bring out the absolute best in each other because we challenge each other's weak points. He bought a camera that he talked about buying for 2 years. When he bought the camera, damn near every day I call him. You watching videos, you studying your stuff, you editing, you go and take pictures. Did you take pictures today? It's that type of, I'm gonna challenge him to be the best version of himself. He's gonna do the same thing for me when there's things in front of me, and kind of keeps you at bay. Like, you're only as good as the closest 5 people around you is what I've always heard, and you're a reflection of the closest 5 people around you. That's one of the closest 5 people around me. The way he acts is probably similar to how I act, and that's a good representation for me. That's something I can stand on. So I find it really crucial and critical to my life to who's around me. For me, I feel successful every single day, and I give myself a pat on the back because I'm a black man in America.
You better say it.
Made it past 18.
Yeah.
No criminal record. Made it past 21. No criminal record. I'm not a baby daddy. I'm not a deadbeat daddy. I don't have any kids. I've kept all my ducks.
Good Lord.
No kids, no jail.
And I feel like I'm a thoughtful person. When I think about family, I think about being there for my family and generational traumas, think about ending generational traumas, think about starting generational wealth. Like, I think I've created and allowed for myself to get great ideas, and now I get to act on them every single day. And I fail all the time. I fail miserably. And there's something about the failure that doesn't bother me. I believe all four of the other guys in here talk about going to the gym. I don't go to the gym. I don't care. But there's a concept with going to the gym that I know that they can relate to. And ladies, if you go to the gym, no. I don't know. So I'm very proud of you guys as well. You'll understand the concept too. It's when you're getting stronger, when you're feeling stronger, it's always putting more weight on your chest, your back, whatever it is that you're working out. And you need the strain. The strain is where the strength comes from.
Yeah.
So if someone is looking you in your face and telling you that you can't achieve your goal, well, I was about to curse, I'm not gonna do it. Politely tell them to shut up. Politely tell them to shut up and get out of your way because you have something to go get. Because most of the people that tell you that you can't get it were the people that quit on their own dreams. And you don't have a timetable for when your dream is supposed to become true. The only obligation you hold to yourself is that you keep dreaming as big as you can and reaching for whatever the hell you can, because it's all you got. Whatever you believe in, whatever you dream for. If no one in this room knows it for yourself, whatever you're thinking about doing, whatever you've second guessed for 10 years, whatever you've second guessed for 2 months, just keep doing it, keep trying, because one day you're gonna wake up and all those days that you stack are gonna turn into the end product that you wish for.
I love that concept, keep stacking days. I've heard it a lot just from being involved in athletics with the teams and stuff. There's a book by this guy, I think his name's Kevin DeShazo, and he had the same concept as the keep stacking days. It was keep chopping wood. I don't know if y'all chopped wood before, but when you're taking that sledgehammer and hitting the wood, sometimes it takes 99 reps. But that 100th rep is the one where it actually breaks the whole thing apart. And a lot of people often take for granted that 99, that what goes into it each and every day. Like they don't see the end product, they don't see the finished result, so they get discouraged in the process. But really, without each of them 99 hits, you would never got to that 100th hit that actually broke it open and got you what you was looking for. So I love that topic, or love that concept of keep stacking days. Back to Selena's first point, which was the overall question. What are you going to take from your life in 2022? How do you want to grow into the new year? So we discussed the new beginnings as far as, do you have them? Do you recognize them? And we also discussed the new year, new me mindset. So taking everything that you guys heard, feel free to continue on what you were just talking about or answer that overall question.
I'm taking everything from 2021. I'm taking everything back from December 12th, 1997 when I touched down. And all the accumulated knowledge, all the accumulated pain, all the accumulated success, and I'm balling it up and continue to form myself into what I feel like is a decent human being. About earlier, I'm a perfectionist. I put so much pressure on myself to be a perfect person, but I think it's also what drives me to be what I consider halfway decent, because I'll never reach my goal. But I don't care because I keep trying and I keep sacrificing and I keep fighting to become whatever it is the end result is. And if I leave today, I'm gonna feel accomplished for what I was able to attain up until this moment. So I'm gonna continue to be patient. I'm gonna continue to learn. I'm gonna continue to have lessons, and I'm gonna continue to appreciate every lesson and every experience that I have. So Selena, thank you for inviting me. This
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely amazing. Sis N Lil Bro.
Let's get it.
Even this moment, like sharing it with strangers, I feel like friends and family, because I'm learning so much about you and learning that we share such common experience and we will all share such common success.
Going off of that, I've really learned especially recently, to not be shameful of the past that you've come from. You know, whether that's where you grew up or the family life you had, just whatever circumstances, like not letting yourself be ashamed of whatever past you came from, and just using those experiences, like as God says, He withholds no good from us, whatever that struggle was, letting that push us forward in the future that He has for us.
I've been reading this book. I read it in one of my college classes called The Dark Side of Leadership, which I recommend for everybody. I remember reading through it and realizing that there's so many things based off of like my personal life experiences that harmed me when it came to leading people that I loved. The things that I have experienced became life habits, which then became my leadership habits. I didn't know how to separate the two. So there are a lot of things this year that I learned about myself, and in the best way possible. I learned a lot of negative things about myself this year that I want to fix for this next year, because I want to continue not only like as I learn to love myself, learning how to effectively love the relationships that I have built that I do want to keep.
As I've gone through like counseling and reading different things and having healing relationships, has been really helpful. But I think the main thing that I really began to understand maybe towards the end of this last year is like taking not only accepting myself, but taking responsibility for myself. So like that is not who I have to be. Like I can choose to be somebody else. So like like I said, like the 20s are really defining in the sense of like figuring out who you actually want to be, what you stand for, what you don't, and not having to accept everything. And I think something I had to really understand myself is that I don't want to make people feel rejected, because I felt that, so I would often accept a lot of things, even though that wasn't really me or what I actually believed in. And so then just learning to separate those things, and take responsibility for myself. Like, okay, this is who I actually want to be. So like again, making decisions, thinking in a way that actually aligns with that. So that's kind of like my biggest goal in this next year.
I feel like after this conversation, I really do feel like I'm not behind, because we're all still young, we're all going through it, and I still have a chance. Just like everybody else. So I just want to thank you guys for lifting that burden off of me.
I'm glad I did come. And just as an idea, I think we should have another podcast episode regarding like what does a real friend look like.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
Because being here today and hearing different things discussed, boundaries has been a big thing that I've been hearing as well. Knowing what a real friend looks like and having what that means. And to me, after hearing everyone speak, I feel like a friend is a real accountability partner.
I just want to thank everybody for being a part of this. Thank you guys for being honest, being open, just being willing to be here and being a part of a movement and just sharing your stories. My song for y'all is called No Setbacks, because we're not having any setbacks. Everything that we've been through, we're not allowing it to be a setback, but we're allowing it to be a point where we grow from. So this is hip hop, so I don't know what y'all doing, but y'all need to stand up. I've come to realize that people don't get it by accident. They be up on it. Only the real ones who stay dedicated are people who got motivation. They don't got time to be worried about others and hating on people. That's crazy. Our generation's so caught up in others. That's part of the reason a lot of us suffer. We bent out of shape, but we gotta recover. I'm telling the truth, I can't lie. Work hard for your mother. You gotta do something. It's kind of life is too short to be stressing. We need to be focused on purpose and blessings. No need to be worried about other directions. I gotta give myself credit for moving a lot of stuff out of my way. I understand that I'm working to better myself because I'm not in a race. I gotta thank all my loved ones because they're the ones who helped me get to this place. I'm on a mission to spread what I heard because I know that God don't make mistakes. So that's no setback.
You are amazing. I was here. I'm here.
So Titus got a song too. Titus, you can talk about yours.
I want to thank you all for coming out. Obviously, with this being the first episode, we're extremely thankful and the impact that it made on you guys. It sounds like it was great. I want to invite you guys back next time we do this. Make sure y'all follow us and repost that. Don't feel like this conversation's over. Now, for the music. Like I said, I switched my song. I was going to do this song, which is one of my favorites. It's called I'm Tryna. But I actually switched it to a new song that I just released the other day called Four Walls. And the reason I chose this one is because I actually wrote it, last week maybe?
And the whole concept behind it is being trapped in four walls, being told you can't do this, being limited by who you used to be. But people are always evolving, people are always growing and expanding out of those four walls. So that's the whole message of this song. Got me trapped in four walls, told me get lost, but my circumstances just won't let me quit. My perspective keeps me sane, it don't feel right to complain. I'm always gonna be grateful for the life that I'm living. That's it. I'm living. I won't take it for granted. I know some ain't get it. Hey, that's it. I'm living. Despite when I'm struggling, I'ma remember I'm living. There ain't no doubt I go through it. I'm trying to make an impact bigger than music, but sometimes I let my own talking least of countless excuses. I know. Trapped in four walls with no one to call. I feel all alone. This life ain't worth it at all. Trying to figure out my cause. I wanna give in. I wanna drown out my feelings. I want somebody to notice. I want somebody's attention. But then I remember that I got enough. Then I remember that life ain't too tough. Then I remember how I made it through. How could I forget the ultimate truth? It's the fact that I'm chosen. It's the fact that my life is in motion. I'm not silent, I'm causing commotion. I remember these walls could be broken, yeah. So I'ma make sure that I break them. Ain't no boxing me in, I won't take it. I'ma make sure I leave the room vacant. My story gonna be so amazing when I make it out. Got me trapped in four walls, told me get lost, but my circumstances just won't let me quit. My perspective keeps me sane, it don't feel right to complain. I'm always gonna be grateful for the life that I'm living. So that's Four Walls, just released the other day. So I feel like that.
This has been the very first episode of Sis N Lil Broments. It is January, and we have talked about new beginnings and our lives, and we've shared stories. And I feel like we've all gotten closer and bonded, just people not even knowing each other. It's all been good vibes. So very grateful, very thankful. Y'all come out and follow us for the next Sis N Lil Broments episode number 2. Thank you for just blessing our lives, God. Thank you for allowing us to have community, even in places where we didn't expect to have community, God. Thank you for the gift of music and the gift of sharing stories, God, because we know that it brings people together. I ask that you bless every single person here today. They have confessed and been vulnerable enough to talk about their stories where they've been wronged or where they've made mistakes, God. I pray that you would honor their humbleness, Lord, and I ask that you would just bless us all abundantly in this next year, God. We may not be able to control the circumstances of life, God, but we can control our own actions and we can control our own attitudes and the people that who we become. And so, Father God, I just ask that you would just bless us all in this space, in this time, and in this moment, and continuing forward. In Jesus' name, amen.
Sis N Lil Broments.